Hey guys, so if you're in a fat loss phase, you will definitely want to watch this video. So today I'm going to be showing you a few of my favorite snacks in a fat loss phase. These are just too good not to share with you, and I'm so excited to go through them. And no, I'm not talking about this bullshit. We're not going through that. We're going through actually nutritious, healthful foods that will make you feel and perform well and make it easy as fuck to stick to your deficit. Contrary to what you might think, like dieting doesn't have to be this boring, bland, miserable way of life. It actually forces you to get more creative when you're dieting in a fat loss phase. And also, I think one of the most underrated things is you actually start appreciating food more because you know there is a limited amount per day. So it's about choosing, foods that are delicious, that you look forward to, but they're also not going to sabotage you and keep you off track. Now, if I wanted to make a fat loss phase really fucking hard, what I would do is choose foods that aren't very filling and they're extremely hyper-pallatable. So if I'm budgeting 30% of my day's intake to a snack that is going to cause cravings, and it's literally designed in a lab to hijack my dopamine rewards center, that is not going to be very helpful for your deficit, right? So I'd say one of the biggest mistakes most people make in a fat loss phase is they go straight for these fucking things. Yep. So they go straight for the nut bars, and just because they say protein, it does not mean it's healthful or low calorie. And that's another thing. We need to stop confusing healthy with low calorie. So definitely don't go for nut or granola bars in a fat loss phase. Fats actually contain 9 calories per gram, which means that they're the easiest to overdo in small amounts. Make sure that you're aware of the calorie labels. Come with me. So the biggest secret to snacks in a fat loss phase is go into your Asian food section. They've got so many great options. Oh, what are these? They're like tiny meals. Shiny. So these are incredible. Miso soup packets. So these only have 20 calories per packet, and there's 2 packets in here, and they make a big bowl of soup. 20 calories. They've got iodine from the seaweed, and they're relatively healthful as well. So you can have lots of those, really great for winter. If you're not in Australia, pretty much anywhere has freeze-dried miso soup packets, but those are really great. You can have them on the go for lunch. So normally they have a really, really, really good snack called takanoi, I don't know how to pronounce it, takanoi big roll. It's big roll spicy seaweed. They actually don't have it here. I'm so devastated. But these are literally 10 calories per roll, and they're so delicious. They're like seaweed sweet cigar things that are really good when you're cutting. So yeah, those are 10 calories each. Also, the chili has a little bit of thermic effect from them. And normally in your Asian food section, there's going to be some kind of a cognac jelly. They don't have them here today, but cognac jelly packets are really good if you want a low calorie snack. They have virtually no calories. I would not go for cognac noodles, so they taste like shit. I had a client once say she would rather eat air than cognac noodles, and I wasn't making her, but I would not go for cognac noodles. Another good one is green tea, unsweetened green tea in a deficit. You want to go down to your preservation food aisle. Preservation, or relishes and pickles. Pickled foods is where it's at for a fucking fat loss phase. This is the aisle you need to be in for low calorie foods. Those pickles are weird to you. They're just straight. So pickles are actually a fantastic fat loss phase food because they're very, very low calorie and you can eat lots of them. And really good snack for a fat loss phase. Just make sure you get low sugar ones, otherwise they are pretty high in carbs. But the ones I actually like to go for, if you can get the pickles by Lake Prespa, and they also do fire roasted red peppers that are pickled, and these are fucking phenomenal. These are so delicious. And then another one of my OG go-to cutting snacks would be these. 99% fat-free sun-dried tomatoes from Sandhurst. Basically this entire packet, right, it has only 40 calories, which is crazy. So you'll be very full and get a decent dose of vitamin C. And in a deficit, the more low-cal food we have, it means we get more. But if you're choosing something like, you know, a bar of chocolate or a Fiber One bar or something that's super high calorie, it's not going to be very filling. So it's kind of going to be like walking uphill. It's going to be really challenging and really test your adherence if you're trying to fit, you know, a couple of tablespoons of Nutella in a day. If you could, for example, have, you know, a kilo of tomatoes, it's going to be a lot more filling. Beef jerky is definitely one of my go-to snacks in a cutting phase. You can get the Jack Links or pretty much any brand. Oh, fuck. Although make sure you go for like a sugar-free version. They can be relatively high in carbs, and not that carbs are bad, but by default, they're going to like unnecessarily bump up your calorie total more than getting the lower carb version. I don't know if I'd call this a low calorie snack, but you'd actually be shocked at the macros about pork crackle. It's actually really good. So for a bag of pork crackle, this has 31 protein and 16 fat. You wouldn't expect that, right? You can get these, probably not the best quality protein source, to be honest, like not the highest grade of protein, but you can put these in the microwave and they're like bags of popping pork crackle. And the macros are actually so good. 13.6 protein, 3.9 fat, and less than 1 carb, which is crazy. These are nice if you're just, you know, sitting down to watch a movie with your partner, but you don't want to have an entire pizza or an entire bowl of popcorn. By the way, there is no such thing as fat-burning foods, and anyone that tells you that is full of shit. So when we talk about fat loss foods, right, there is low-calorie ones, which are ideal, and fiber and protein are going to be your best bet for macronutrients to leverage on, to lean on in a fat loss phase. So protein's actually got a 20 to 30% thermic effect, meaning that if you eat, you know, 100 calories in excess on top of your diet, 20 to 30% of those calories will be burnt in the process of actually trying to store it as body fat, which is pretty cool. So protein's got a thermic effect, whereas no other macronutrient, not fats, not carbs, not anything, has that thermic effect. Now with fiber as well, it actually burns a lot of calories in the digestion of that fiber. So, you know, if your fruits and veggies are going to burn more calories in the process of putting them away, then, you know, other things will, like, you know, shitty oils. This stuff is an absolute go-to, especially like if you're traveling or you're at work or you need to get something for lunch but don't want to get, you know, a pizza sandwich. These ones are a really good option. Yo Pro Perform, they've got 20 grams of protein and I think about 120 calories. Really, really good. And this is an example as well where like healthy and low calorie aren't always the same thing. So typically your yogurts that are higher in fat are going to have a higher vitamin D content. So ones that are pretty much low, very low to no fat are going to have less vitamin D, but they are going to be lower in total calories. So that is kind of when we talk about, you know, the difference between low calorie versus health foods. They're not the same thing. So I've been in this for a long time. I've been tracking macros for probably a decade. So I've made more mistakes than you can probably count. The first day I started tracking macros, remember my coaches said, yeah, if it fits your macros, you can have what you like. First thing I went for was some candy and made it fit my macros. And yeah, I don't know, nowadays I'm just like, if you want a meal out or some real ice cream, just go for it. Like don't, some of the low calorie stuff honestly tastes like garbage. Like Halo Top, I'm sorry, but it tastes like frozen egg whites. No, thank you. It's like just, you know, for the same macros, just have the real thing and a protein shake. Now, my little tip to make sure that you're getting in your protein is to keep these on the go. So if you have a couple of cans of tuna or sardines, keep them in your handbag, keep them in your car, or maybe some beef jerky. This just ensures in case of like a protein emergency that you don't run into a situation where you've got nothing, because it's better to have something small like a can of tuna than, you know, nothing for 5 hours straight. So that would be my tip. They actually do a really good light version. So I think light tuna tempters. They don't have them here today, but there's like an onion and tomato one. That's really good. They've got about 90 calories per tin, but really good in case of emergencies. I would just keep those in your handbag. I personally like sardines because they are very high in calcium, and I don't believe they have, you know, as much mercury as tuna, but I might just be talking total bullshit. If you're in Australia, I'm not sure if they have these other places, but the Aeroplane Jelly Light sachets, these are fucking incredible. They're so good. What I would do when I was cutting is I would have a batch of these, like one packet, and then I would put frozen berries in them and freeze them. And they're just like the whole snack there. The macros are, I think, 13 grams of protein and maybe like 5 carbs for a bunch of berries and one of these. But these are really, really good. The whole packet, the only macro is at 12 grams of protein. Really, really yummy. So when I'm looking at protein bars as well, I'm always looking at the ratio of protein to other macronutrients and also the composition of what it's made of. For example, if we've got a protein bar with 20 grams of protein, but it's also got 20 grams of fat and 400 calories, like that is not going to be a great protein bar for your fat loss phase. But if you can find that one that's maybe got 20 grams of protein, 5 grams of fat, and the ingredients relatively aren't just crap quality concentrates and preservatives. The protein bars, again, like they wouldn't be my first go-to for a snack in a deficit, just because knowing personally me, they are going to be more triggering for cravings. I've noticed a habit where they tend to make me really want to overeat on crap like after I have them. So I try and stick to like mostly savory foods and actually don't get any cravings at all during a deficit that way. Things like pickles and tuna, I know it doesn't sound sexy, but you know, whatever is going to keep you moving towards that long-term goal. Now, you might be a bit different. You might be able to have, you know, one a day and that keeps you sane and adhering to your deficit. Then by all means, go for that. It's about context. So a protein bar is probably going to be better than inhaling an entire tub of these things. I remember back in the day, like 10 years ago, when protein bars just came out when I was a teenager, they literally used to taste like blue tack covered in tree bark. And now they've got so many ones that actually taste great. Now this, on the other hand, I know it's not low calorie, but this is, we're just talking about delicious snacks now. This is my go-to. Like if I need to bump my fats up and I'm struggling, I go for, these are so good. I could definitely vacuum down a whole packet of those. I could just absolutely inhale them. Typically any melon is going to be a really, really great snack for a fat loss phase. So did you know that rock melon, or cantaloupe if you're in the States, this one, I think it has like, it's super low calorie. I think it's like 40 grams of carbs per 100 grams. Might have checked that. But rock melon is a really, really low calorie, delicious option if you're in a cutting phase. Just the way to tell if a rock melon is ripe or a good one is you have to smell the outside. And if it smells good, then you know it's ripe. Some of them don't smell like anything, don't go for those. But yeah, pretty much any melon, watermelon, rock melon, toad melon, any kind of berry is going to be a really good option too. It's going to be really rich in antioxidants. Strawberries, blueberries. Strawberries in particular are a really low calorie option. I would not be going for like a handful of nuts if my goal is fat loss. Almonds, you know, delicious. Nuts, it's good to have some, you know, saturated fats. You know, there's nothing to say you can't include, you know, 30 grams into your intake to meet your fat total if you know, have some room at the end of the day. But if you're kind of just going in blindly tracking your macros without a strategy, tracking from scratch every day, you're going to find that you're really above your totals if you're just picking what you think is a healthy option. So this is where it comes to you and your responsibility as well to like educate yourself on the different food types and their contents, because you'd probably be really surprised. If you don't know where to start, just start by tracking your normal diet in Chronometer or like MyFitnessPal. I personally like to use Chronometer because it's a lot more accurate. In MyFitnessPal, everyone enters everything onto the database, but with Chronometer, all of it's verified. So if you create a food, it only shows up for yourself. So just start by tracking what you're currently eating. Make sure you track everything. That's another big thing. Is people will be like, I stuck to my deficit, but then they're also adding in these little untracked snacks they think doesn't count outside of the deficit, which is then, you know, going above their total, so they don't actually see fat loss. So it's not like, you know, calories don't exist if we don't track them. We've got to track everything. We've got to be honest with ourselves and see what our daily intake is, and we'd probably be like really surprised at what we're consuming. And another thing is, you know, a lot of people will track during the week, but then they think weekends don't matter. And this is where I went really wrong for a long period of time, is I thought, okay, well, you know, I deserve it. Like I've been working so hard during the week, I can just let my hair down a little bit, should be fine on the weekend, but it can definitely put you out of your fat loss for the week. So not to say you can't budget in, you know, a meal or two over the weekend, but just be strategic with it, you know. Look for lower calorie options on the menu. I know it's boring, but like if there's grilled meat options over deep fried, it really depends on your macro budget and what you have to work with. You know, if you have 1,500 calories a day and you're a small female, you're probably not going to choose like a carbonara that's like 1,000 calories for a meal, because then you'd be starving for the rest of the day. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of low calorie snacks. Let me know in the comments down below what some of your favorite low calorie snacks are in a fat loss phase, and also what you'd like to see next. I'm gonna go eat something because I'm about to pass out, but